Welcome again to another episode of the C-List Villains, the cultivators of the comic culture. I'm your host, AJ. We've got Red, and we've got a special guest tonight. We've got Mr. Brett Murphy himself, co-creator of the Paranormal Hitmen from Behemoth Comics, as well as the new comic book coming out, Kingdom Come Deliverance. Good evening, sir.
Hey, good evening. Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
No, man, thank you. The pleasure is ours. Red, Brett, you guys didn't get to meet each other, but he's a fellow football fan. He's an Eagles guy.
Yeah.
I just saw your draft. I think I just saw your draft, unless you traded away your draft.
We traded. Well, yeah, there were a couple of trades. One for AJ Brown, and then
That's right.
we got Jordan Davis with the first pick.
Okay, and then I guess your next would be second round. Wow, it's a big day right now for a draft. So yeah, it's
For wide receivers.
My attention is like kind of on it right now, waiting for my team, the 49ers, to be what they're gonna do with Deebo Samuel and Jimmy Garoppolo. So whether they trade them or not, and then get a higher draft pick, then that'd be great.
Yeah.
Well, I know
Eagles fly.
Yeah, fly. Yeah.
I know, Brett, that you've got a short window for you to come on. So let's just get right into it. I know that you've done some work on comic books, and before we get into your current stuff, why don't you tell our audience how you got into comic books and how you got into writing as well?
Yeah. So basically started about 8-9 years ago. I was doing some writing for different music blogs, and going to different concerts, interviewing bands, doing reviews on different concert shows that I went to, and I've always had kind of the itch to write, and I had different story ideas that I wanted to put the pen to paper, and I would say about 3 or 4 years ago, I started writing a couple of different short stories for a horror anthology, and from there, I started networking, made some great friends, met some talented artists, and the editor on Paranormal Hitman, Matthew Kund, who I've become good friends with, who's also an excellent writer who has a couple books coming out later this year with Source Point and Red 5. Through him, I was introduced to Wilson Gandolfo, who's the artist on Paranormal Hitman, and from there, we created the series, and ever since that series came out, we started getting more work with Kingdom Come Deliverance and another arc of Paranormal Hitman coming down the line as well.
So, did you have any sort of writing background, or is this kind of all like just your own research on how to write plot comic books?
Yeah, so I've had experience writing, like not in the comic book, not in the comic book world. Before I wrote the horror anthologies, I just had experience writing for different music blog sites and one small music magazine.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so the horror anthologies were my first introductions to writing in the comics world. But I've always grown up a comic fan. As a child of the '90s, so I was a big Todd McFarlane, Jim Lee, Chris Claremont. Loved the X-Men. So I've always had that love for comic books. So yeah, that kind of pushed me towards this.
Now that small music magazine, was it The Source?
No.
No.
Nah, it was there was It was Creative Spotlights and Shea Star. They were really small, music blogs and magazines, and but it was great. I mean, I got to get passes to some big shows, got to meet some cool bands, and yeah, it was a great experience.
What was the I guess the biggest band that you got to meet on that gig?
Biggest band. I was able to go to the first Firefly Festival in Delaware, so I got to meet John Legend.
Oh wow.
Got to meet who else did I meet there? Imagine Dragons,
Oh
who
wow.
at the
Okay,
time at the time they were actually playing the second smallest stage, so they were kind of like nobody's at that time. They were just starting out, so that was pretty cool to get to meet them before they, blew up. And yeah, I would say those were probably the two biggest bands that I got to meet.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So you got to meet different people for like different artists and different genres then.
Yeah, it was really cool. With the Firefly Festival, they had band anywhere from like you know, electronic dance music DJ to John Legend to the Killers. I mean, it was a good variety of genres.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
what was your favorite I guess genre growing up?
I grew up a big rock fan.
Air
I
band,
grew up
metal.
more like blues rock.
Oh, wow.
I kind of was into Jack White is one of my favorite artists. Kind of like that bluesy rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you his new album, has it already come out or it's still?
I don't know if it came out yet. I know he's going on tour this summer, I think it
Yeah, I think
is.
it's this summer, yeah.
Yeah, and it sucks because he doesn't like Philadelphia, so he never
Oh
the
man.
closest that he plays to Philadelphia is like Baltimore, so it's like you have to travel 2 hours just to go see him play.
Oh dude.
Yeah,
Is
but
there
I
a
got to see him
reason?
at Firefly, so
Is there a reason why isn't like he doesn't like to go out there?
I think one of there's kind of something online that I guess something happened to him when he was in the White Stripes at like at a club in Philadelphia. I guess maybe somebody got too rowdy, but that I don't know if that's just a rumor or if it's true or not. But apparently he doesn't like Philadelphia.
Oh man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move right into the new book that you've got coming out, Kingdom Come Deliverance. Why don't you tell our audience what the book's about, and how you came up with the idea for this book?
Yeah. So the book's actually based on the hit video game by Warhorse Studios. I believe it came out a couple years ago, and Behemoth had the license to publish the comic book, and um, Nathan, who's one of the co-founders of Behemoth, we were talking about
We had him on the
me
show
jump.
before.
Oh yeah. Nathan's a great guy. Nathan and
Yeah.
Ryan, the way they're building that company, it's just like it's like being shot out of a cannon. They're just killing it with Behemoth and all their properties. Yeah, there it is right there. Me and Nathan talked about writing one of their license works, and was able to jump on board on board to write the Kingdom Come license for them, and basically it's going to be a prequel to the video game. So it's the events that take place before the start of the game, and then it's also going to lead into some of the stuff that happens during the game that you don't see in the actual video game.
Okay.
And Wilson Gandafa, who's also the artist on Paranormal Hitmen, he's going to be the interior artist for this comic as well.
And I see that it's coming out in the summer. Is there a forecast of like how many issues and a release date?
Yeah, so it's going to be 4-issue miniseries, and the first issue is scheduled right now for August 3rd.
Okay.
So it's not in this month's previews, but it'll be in next month's previews for pre-order.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is the story already done? Like, you
Yes.
got all,
Yeah. So the first two, I mean, the first 2 issues are already done. All the stories are plotted out. Um, but yeah, everything's kind of done because we had to go through different approvals with the with the studio that made the video game. But yeah, everything's kind of already planned out and ready to go.
now I got to ask you, since you were pretty much approached by Behemoth to do this, was there any sort of pressure to deliver? Because it's not it's something that they had requested. It's from a video game. So what was that pressure like compared to, say, Paranormal Hitman, which is your creation?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a little more pressure with this book, just because it's not uh, my license. Like I don't own this IP, so it's somebody else that I have to write for, and um, there's more steps to go through with the approval process to make sure that everything meets their criteria.
Yeah.
So it's kind of more like making sure that it's something that they like as well. Whereas Paranormal Hitmen, it's kind of Wilson and I kind of have like the final say on like what we kind of put on the pages. Whereas this, we have to go through not only the stories for this have to go through approval, but so does Wilson's art
Yeah.
because the thing with this video game is it's kind of I believe they had historians work on this game with the studio, so they really make sure that everything is like accurate, like everything from like the type of weapons that are used to like the way that the chairs and tables are constructed. They want to make sure
Oh man.
everything's accurate to that time period.
Period
So
accurate. Wow.
yeah,
So it's is it like writing for like George R. Martin? Was like he's already the creator of this universe, and you would just have to live under those rules in order to write this comic.
yeah, pretty. I mean, pretty much. That's kind of a good example. I had a couple different pitches that we went through, and we came up with the prequel idea because I didn't want to take anything from like if they want to do a sequel or anything down the line, I didn't want to take away from that and have it, you know, take away that thunder as well. And
Right. Right.
yeah.
I mean, I'm just if you did do a sequel, that'd be pretty cool if they did a sequel game based off of your story too. That would be pretty awesome.
That would be awesome. And I know I think it was last year they got optioned for a I don't know if it's TV series or a movie with some producers from Netflix. So I know they're working on that side of things for this game as well.
All right. And just speaking of TV shows and stuff, your comic book, Paranormal Hitman, is according to Deadline, it's in development for a TV show. I mean, that must have felt like a dream come true when all that stuff was coming around.
Yeah, that was that was a blessing. Having going through that process with getting picked up by E1 and it was an awesome feeling. I know Wilson and I were that was one of the goals with the book. We wanted to eventually have it the option for either a movie or television show, and it was just a great feeling to have that happen for this book.
Do you when I mean I don't know if you plan on creating more create your own comics, but does it come to mind? Like, does it? How much of the ideas when you write, particularly when you were writing this, you're like, oh, this would look good on the screen. Like, does that come into play at all? Do things like that come into play?
Um, a little bit. I mean, the way we wrote this book, we kind of wrote it like we wanted it to kind of read as almost like you were watching a movie or watching a TV show.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that does have, a little bit of an effect on like how we write and how Wilson, drew this comic. Yeah, I mean, just like with the clothing and the weaponry and everything, I think we were kind of picturing in our head, like as we were doing this, like picturing it as a TV show or a movie.
Right.
So I think that kind of helped also.
And for the viewers that have not read this book, can you give them a little synopsis of what this is all about? I mean, it's clearly in the title, but if you want to give us a more detailed plot for the book.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's basically kind of like pitched it as Ghostbusters meets The Sopranos. It's about these two hitmen, Gene and Devon, who work for the Carboni family, a mafia family in Philadelphia. And one day they're recruited by this secret government agency that deals with the paranormal, and basically they're taken in to work for them, and their former employer, who's Alfonso Carboni, who's the head of the mob family, thinks that they're going in to rat on him. So not only will they have to fight ghosts for this agency, but they'll also have to, dodge Alfonso and his men who are trying to, kill them because he thinks they're rats, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it must have been so fun to even think of this idea, and like it's so original.
Philadelphia is part of one of the original 13 colonies, man. There's a lot of history there, and
oh yeah,
and you would think that every Victorian home there, or one of the original colonies and cities, would have their own paranormal activity, and I would think that it would be one of the locations one of the ghost hunters would even check out.
Yeah, yeah, like you said, we have the Betsy Ross house, Ben Franklin. We have the Eastern State Penitentiary, which I think they do ghost tours there.
I've heard of that one. Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, there's like Wilson and we both love history, so we just have like a ton of fun, writing and coming up with the process of like different ghosts, because this really is it's a horror comedy. It's we like to have fun with it, and like right now we already kind of plotted out the second volume, and we're having a ton of fun with that as well. So there's gonna be a lot more ghosts that we can play around with.
Wilson's not from Philadelphia too, is he?
No, he's actually in Brazil.
Okay, yeah, because I'm checking him out right now, and I followed him before, but I've been following, but I was like, I didn't think he was from Philadelphia.
Yeah, he's over in Brazil. Yeah.
Have you guys actually met like in person, or is it all like when you're creating everything is all just emails and things of that nature?
Yeah, it's all basically emails, and we communicate through WhatsApp and Messenger. I mean, obviously, like when we had the calls with for the TV and other different projects, we usually talk on the phone or through Zoom, but for the most part, we usually communicate through WhatsApp and emails.
When when you got the TV show thing for Paranormal Hitmen, does that change your not lifestyle, but like your thought process on any other like future comic books that you want to, or future stories that you want to write? does that put any sort of added pressure, or is it just kind of like another day and another story you want to put out there?
It kind of just it's kind of the same. I mean, I think there was more pressure for when I started Paranormal Hitmen, just to kind of wanting to eventually get it into film or TV. There's probably actually less pressure, I feel like, now, because I went through the process with the Paranormal Hitman book. I mean, one thing I do look at, though, is if I'm gonna do like an original story, there's different genres like I won't touch, just because it's been done over and over again, like with superheroes or maybe like zombies. Like, I
Oh,
guess
okay.
that's maybe a different thought process. um, and speaking with different people, like different publishers too, like I've heard through people that, like, those are also things that I guess publishers kind of sort of like tend to stay away from as well, unless it's like super original. But
Right.
yeah.
So I was just going to go into that. You've been successful on Create Your Own, and then you've got this other independent like book with Kingdom Come Deliverance, even though it's not really like it's based off of a video game. But I mean, has there ever been any inkling to like maybe have a meeting with like DC or Marvel and maybe do a superhero book, or is that you only want to stick with like more original stuff?
Yeah, it's funny because I was, asked this before, and like I was thinking about it. Like, I know a lot of people probably get into it wanting to write like Spider-Man and Batman, but like I would really love to write, like a Star Wars series or Power Rangers, like a story that's already out there, or a brand that's already out there, but maybe not like the two big ones for, I mean, well, Star Wars is Marvel, but not like, the Batmans or the Spider-Mans of the world, but like more like Star Wars, Power Rangers type books.
If
Maybe
you got
if you're doing like horror as well, would you do a Walking Dead or a Chew?
Yeah, I mean, if they ever came to me, if like Robert Kirkman said, "Hey, we want you to write Walking Dead," I would love to do something like that, or even like a horror movie, or if they came to me, I would love to do something like that.
cool, man. I wanted to ask you also if you had the chance, since we're on the subject of Star Wars, what do you just off the top of your head, what kind of storyline would you plot out, and what would you create brand new characters, or would you focus on characters we already know?
So I'm like one of my favorite characters. Uh, not like a legacy character, but one of the new characters, Cad Bane. Like I feel
Okay.
like that would be cool to have like his own separate series with him just going around, kind of almost like the Mandalorian. Like, he's going around collecting different bounties and doing different jobs. I feel like that would be a cool series, and like maybe create some new characters along the way in a series like that.
What'd you think of him in in no in Book of Boba Fett?
I liked him. I'm kind of hoping that they bring him back. Um, I'm hoping that they kind of didn't just use him for 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Uh, he was. I think that Filoni, like what he did with the Clone Wars, like ever since the Clone Wars, like he kind of revitalized the whole Star Wars franchise, and he brought like a whole new life to it, and it was just awesome, like the different characters that he kind of brought on board, and I thought Cad Bane was one of the best ones.
I
Right.
assume that we'll probably see more of it in Bad Batch then. Book of Boba Fett since he's already dead in that part of the universe.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping to see more live action, but yeah, you're right. I mean, Bad Batch is, you know, what you're right. I think unfortunately we might just see him more in the animated series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think we're looking at an older, more seasoned Cad Bane in Book of Boba Fett versus where he's still within his prime in Bad Batch. So maybe we get more of that, and then possibly his own series, live action, as before the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, and I guess there's, like a small chance that he could maybe show up in like one of the other series, like Obi-Wan, or if they ever did like a Darth Vader spin-off, because it's before, I guess, Book of Boba Fett. But
yeah,
I guess you never know.
Can't wait till the end of May.
Yeah, I know. I'm like counting down the days till Obi-Wan comes out. I'm like so excited for that series.
Yeah, we're pretty spoiled as far as like this month, where we get to finish up a little bit of a Moon Knight, and then we get Doctor Strange next week, and then Obi-Wan.
And don't bring up Moon Knight. Moon Knight, I've been very disappointed with Moon Knight. It's been underwhelming for me.
Well, the new Doctor Strange trailer, I just saw this drop today.
Oh, there's a new one that came out today?
The short one where you got to see a little bit of Charles Xavier's floating wheelchair.
Yeah,
wow.
I kind of wish they. I mean, you kind of knew he was going to be in it, but I kind of wish they didn't show all that. Just kind of keep like some spoilers.
Mystery. Yeah, but they already spoiled it with Patrick Stewart already having a speaking part.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
a very discernible voice. Where it's like, dude, that's Patrick Stewart. That's just Jean-Luc Picard.
Yeah. But Brett, I want to ask you, with convention season is pretty much around the corner now. Are you going to be hitting up a lot of cons? You going to be in San Diego for the big one?
I don't know if I'm going to San Diego yet. I guess it depends on if I'm not sure if Behemoth's going to get a booth. With Kingdom Come coming out in August, if it came out before San Diego Comic-Con, I would probably try to go and set up a table there. But since Kingdom Come's coming out after San Diego Comic-Con, I think I'm more likely just to do New York and Baltimore, like kind of stay on the East Coast.
Okay.
Yeah, I already put in for my table for New York this past week, so.
Oh, hopefully you'll get the table next to Peach Momoko.
Oh yeah, that would be. Yeah, that's like the cool thing about New York is I went the past couple of years and it's just like everything in one place. It's just awesome. Yeah.
What's the big one out in Philadelphia then?
So, when was it? Like 2 or 3 weeks ago, Fan Expo was the big one. It used to be Wizard World, but I guess
Fan Expo bought Wizard World.
Yeah. So it was Fan Expo Philadelphia. Yeah.
And they had a contracted. What's his name? I'm blanking out. Okay, come back. I'll think of the name.
Is it Jim Lee?
No. Miller? No, Frank Miller. Frank Miller. Yeah, Frank Miller contracted by Fan Expo to attend all Fan Expo events. So that's at least
I think he was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Frank Miller and Jim Lee were the two big guests. Yeah.
Oh, all right.
And then Baltimore Comic-Con's, that's not too far from Philly. That's like an hour and a half. I went there last year, and that's a pretty cool con. It's just basically all comic books, which is great. It's not like I think there are only like 2 celebrity guests there, and the rest was just all comics. So that was a pretty cool convention.
Do you still have time to read comics?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I try to find some time. you know, I'm trying to get into reading a lot of like the older comics. Like I just bought a omnibus with it's like a sci-fi one with Jack Kirby and shoot, I'm blanking on who the writer was, but you know, I try to find some time to go back and read some comics.
Yeah, I would just stick with your schedule. It's just way too crazy right now.
Yeah, it's you know, with all like the deadlines and then like new pitches and stuff, it's like I feel like I'm just typing away and yeah.
Life of a writer.
Yeah, it's you know, I mean it's good. It keeps me busy, but yeah, you know, I'll be able to read one day. Yeah.
Well, I know you got to get going
Let me
pretty
ask you. Let
soon.
me ask you this question:
Okay.
Who's starting this year? Jalen Hurts or Gardner Minshew?
I think Jalen Hurts starts the first couple games, and then I think they find out, you know, he's doesn't have that big of an arm, and Garner takes over.
Do you guys regret giving away Carson Wentz?
Oh, not at all. No, no. I think people are glad that he's gone. I think the thinking is next year's draft class is going to be stacked with great quarterbacks. So I feel like we're kind of planning for next year. This year's
Right.
kind of you know, see what happens, but
Yeah.
I think next year is going to be a big draft year for us.
As long as the Eagles can beat the Cowboys and the Giants, I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, it's funny because Behemoth is in Dallas, and Nathan and Ryan are Cowboys fans, so it's like, yeah, you got an Eagles writer, and then you know, working for the Cowboys.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah,
Enemy
yeah, that's
territory.
our yeah, Cowboys and Giants. Yeah, they're probably our two biggest rivals.
Mhm. Well, the
Yeah,
dumpster fire that is not the Redskins, but the Commanders now. You don't have to really worry about them.
yeah. I mean, from the team to the owner. I mean, that's us. Yeah, it's just bad.
Yeah, that's another podcast. We'll cover that later.
Yeah.
Well, Brent, let me ask you, what else did you want our listeners, our fans, to know about your two books, and also if there's any other projects in the future that maybe you want to discuss and plug for anyone to be looking out for in the future?
Yeah. So Paranormal Hitmen. The trade paperback's out. You know, you can buy it at a local comic shop. Or Barnes and Noble, Target, the Behemoth website. And also, I believe there are still a couple issues. Issue number one of Paranormal Hitmen, the ASM 129 Image cover. I think there are a couple
Oh, I've
issues
never
still
seen that
left
one.
on the Behemoth website.
I gotta check that out.
Yeah, so there are a couple issue ones, I believe. Last I checked on the Behemoth website, still available. And then Kingdom Come comes out August 3rd. So you can order it in Diamond next month's catalog. And also the Behemoth website, they have all their comics listed on there as well. You know, um, if you know you don't have a shop close by, you know you can always go on Behemoth's website, and they have issues available there as well.
Awesome. Any other top secret projects you could hint at, or is that it right now?
Um, I guess
You don't
there
have to
might
say it.
be.
You don't have to say anything.
Well, I know there's going to be a second volume of Paranormal Hitmen next year. And there may or may not be a kids book that Wilson and I are
All right.
talking about right now. But that's like more for like 7 to 12-year-old readers. But yeah, so that's gonna be something different as well. But yeah, you know, be on the lookout for Paranormal Hitman, the second volume, in 2023.
Oh, there's that cover.
Yeah,
Oh man, I gotta,
yes. Yeah, I think Behemoth still has a couple of those left on their website. I know you can't get them anywhere else, but yeah.
If you had the choice to cast the characters of Paranormal Hitmen, who would you cast?
Oh man. Well, I'll go with Devon because I don't know if I can say there may or may not have been talking to somebody for Gene, so I don't want to say anything there.
All right.
I would say for Devon, somebody like. See, there's one actor that I think would be a cool actor to play Devon in a TV series. And that's JB Smooth.
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice.
Because he is great in Curb Your Enthusiasm. And there was a Jonah Hill movie where he kind of played like a mafia type of character. And I thought he was just great. Like he's very quick, very funny. And, I think he can kind of play that role perfectly.
All right. Well, with our help, maybe it'll go out into, what is it? Think it to existence, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Maybe we can get it out there and, maybe he'll kind of jump on board.
Well, lastly, where can fans get a hold of you if they want to like follow you and see what you're doing as far as your work?
Yeah. So I'm on Instagram and Twitter. Both handles are at bmurphywright, and I try to post current news and updated covers and stuff like that on there. And if people need to reach out to me, they can just send me a DM or send me a comment, and I try to respond as best as I can.
Awesome, man. Well, I know that you got to get some sleep, so thank you for taking your time, man, out of your busy schedule to come on the show, bro.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it, and I had a great time, and thanks again.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see you at a con.
Fly Eagles fly. Yeah, there you go.
Hopefully we'll see you at
Philadelphia sports.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see you at a con soon, so we can do this thing in person.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely want to try to get out to the West Coast and do some more cons across the country, and yeah.
Oh,
all right.
Good question for you. Where do I get the best Philly cheesesteaks?
So if you're in Philadelphia, the best place that's not a tourist trap like Pat's and Gino's is Del Sandro's.
Del Sandro's.
Del Sandro's. Yep. Yeah, the best cheesesteaks in Philly.
If we're ever out there, we'll definitely have to hit you up again for that recommendation.
Yeah, hit me up. Yeah, I'll take you guys there. Don't go to Pat's and Gino's. That's kind of you got to go to Del Sandro's.
Awesome.
Well, I'll set that up, guys.
All right. Well, with that being said, thanks you guys for coming on to the show, and we'll be back on Monday with another episode.
All right, thank you.
Peace out, everyone. Thanks again for listening to another episode of the Sealess Villains podcast, your cultivators of the comic culture. Make sure you follow us on Facebook and email us at sealessvillains@gmail.com. You can also leave us a voicemail or text us at 209-975-7597. Be sure to join Luke Week's Facebook group, Rare Keys and First Appearance Comics. And you can follow us on our 2 Instagram accounts, Sealess Villains and Sealess Villains Podcast. Lastly, follow the villains on their separate IG accounts, at Luke Weeks, at C-List Villainous Red, at C-List E-Man, and I am at AJ the Comic Collector. Thanks for listening.